Final Fantasy XVI is a butt game. What's that? Oh, okay. Yeah. Final Fantasy XVI is a game that makes you say butt a lot. And by that I mean I could confidently say that this is one of the most fun games I've played all year. But I'm going to repeat the same thing that you've probably heard a million people say. This is a great game, but it's not a particularly good Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy has definitely been going down the character action route of late. Final Fantasy XV certainly cut back on its RPG system, but Final Fantasy XVI absolutely guts them. Like, there are no pieces of armor with special effects whatsoever. Heck, 90% of the accessories in the game just decrease your attack cooldown, and the other 10% are things like XP up or Gil up, which are way better than every other accessory, or are accessibility options, like auto block or auto combo. Heck, the game is literally about collecting the elemental powers of the world in the form of these icons, these summons, and there is no elemental affinity in the game. Like, if you are using Phoenix technique, you don't take less damage from fire enemies, and you don't deal less damage to fire enemies. It's all just damage. There is no RPG-style strategy in this game whatsoever. The game still takes plenty of skill, but it's Twitch skill. It's the skill that you would use playing a Devil May Cry game. And that's great, like I said before, it is one of the most fun character action games I have played in a very long time. But it doesn't feel like an RPG. I'm not doing any RPG things in this game. Heck, even the loadout system, which is super fun. It allows you to mix and match all the different abilities from all the different summons and integrate them into your core gameplay style. But since you never have to adjust your loadout to the enemies that you're fighting, you just find your favorite abilities and equip them for the entire game, dumping points in them to upgrade them. Which again is fine, but takes way less strategy than even Final Fantasy I did. The story is also great, but you may have already heard the fiasco where Yoshi P, the game's director, said that it would be unrealistic to include people of color in this game because it was based on medieval Europe. And then, he made the central point of the game's story, slavery. Well, it turns out that there are people of color in the game. They are just Middle Eastern coded, and they're all obsessed with swindling you out of your money. It's not great. But if you look past that, the world of Valisthea is very fascinating. It's one of the only Final Fantasies that actually addresses what society would be like if all these magic abilities were common. Its tone has taken a swing for the mature. I like to say that this is HBO Presents Final Fantasy. People swear a lot, people have sex on screen, there's lots of betrayal and death and politicking, and honestly, I was deeply invested. But the side quests are all boring as paste and they last forever. Since there really is no RPG strategy in this game, side quests only come in two forms. It's either go to a place and kill a thing, or wander around a place until you find the thing you need to press X on. Well before the halfway point, I was fast-forwarding through all the side quest dialogue. And you might think, well, since there's no real strategy involved, I just won't play the side quests at all. Except since there's no strategy involved, your base numbers matter a whole lot. Meaning that if you're playing on the combat difficulty and not the story difficulty, skipping the side quest means that every single enemy is an HP sponge. And while I wouldn't say that they're challenging, they just take forever to hack away at. And even though I would say that Final Fantasy XVI's combat is genuinely fun, even the best combat system won't hold up when drawn out that long. So yeah, there are lots and lots of great things about Final Fantasy XVI. It certainly got me to play it for 80 hours, but when I walked away, it hadn't scratched that Final Fantasy itch. It scratched the action game itch, but Square's next big RPG offering is gonna be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I think they know that. Overall, I would recommend that you play it, but just know what you're getting into. I give Final Fantasy XVI a Game of Thrones plot twist that you have to mash buttons through out of 10.